4.5 years ago, in October of 2018, guitarist OLI Herbert, of All That Remains, of course, tragically passed away at his home in Connecticut, with the death officially being ruled as drowning, but the manner of death is still undetermined. Since then, there has been a very widely publicized battle between OLI's wife, Beth, and the band themselves, along with the fans, with the latter two consistently alleging that Beth is in fact responsible, at least to some degree, for OLI's death. Now, All That Remains has filed a lawsuit against Beth, claiming that she is holding up royalty payments that are owed to the rest of the band members, and that she is making overly broad claims that she has ownership of the band's catalog. Let's take a closer look. As a sort of refresher, or if you're unfamiliar with the case, let's do a quick recap, but I don't want to get too deep into it right now, as this video would be literally hours long, and we're really here just to discuss the lawsuit, but you do need to know the background to help paint a better picture. But the information is certainly out there if you want to research it. Anyways, according to OLI's widow, Beth, on October 15th, 2018, OLI had been a bit under the weather. According to Beth, in an interview with the Daily Mail, which is her first and only interview since his death, she said, quote, "He was out of it. I had to lead him back to the house several times that evening." Beth says they went inside around 9 p.m., adding, "I asked him if he wanted to go to bed, and he said no. I just want to sit here and listen to the wind blowing through the trees. The last thing he said before I went up to bed was, 'Thank you, I love you.'" She goes on to say that she was woken up in the middle of the night by some noises, but from the sounds of it, she didn't even get up to check it out. So you wake up to noises in the middle of the night, your husband who went outside still hasn't returned, and you just go back to bed? Believable. She is a witch after all, and there was an altar room in the house where I guess she would cast spells, including cast spells on OLI himself. So maybe she just figured that the bumping was just her potions brewing or something. She wakes up the next morning, October 16th. Obviously, OLI never came inside, and she supposedly finds him by the water, but doesn't report him as missing until 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Now, I think things are already a bit suspicious on her side, but what I think makes things even sketchier is that in that Daily Mail interview that was conducted last spring, May of 2022, she points to the pond during the interview and says, quote, "This is where OLI entered the pond, somewhere after 11 p.m. on October 15th, 2018. Wait a minute, though. Didn't she just say in the same interview that she went to bed at 9 p.m.? How would she possibly know what time he went out to the pond? Whatever. What's important to note here, though, is that just a week before his death, he had his will notarized at a car dealership nonetheless, leaving every single thing to Beth, and also clearly stating that his sister Cynthia was to receive nothing. Beth said that, of course, the timing was just coincidental, as they supposedly had a friend around that time that died, and they wanted to be prepared for anything, and so they both set this up and left everything to each other. And of course, you know, this is normal practice for most couples. However, in this instance, they were together since 1992. That's almost 30 years by the time of his death. They got married in 2004. Plus, he has an entire catalog of music that sold over 1 million records to leave behind. What would she have left him? A staff and a cauldron like this is fucking RuneScape or Elden Ring? Get real. It was also discovered during the investigation that in July of 2018, while OLI and Beth were searching for one of their dogs, a mysterious woman named Penelope supposedly showed up to offer her help, but she ended up pushing OLI into a pond. He contacted the police, but this Penelope girl was never seen again to this day. If I were a betting man, my guess would be that Penelope was just a figure that Beth had summoned temporarily. It's also entirely possible that there was no Penelope and that it was actually Beth, or at least Beth was behind the incident in some capacity, but the summons seems much more likely to me. There is seriously so much more that I would love to get into. perhaps another time, but for now, just know this. Beth, of course, is very adamant that she had nothing to do with this and chalks it up to this, quote, "Did Penelope come back? Did he stumble down there on his own? We don't know. All I know is I was upstairs in bed, and when I came downstairs in the morning, he wasn't in the house." She also suggests that it could be the Ambien that was found in his system. Now that we all know who was actually behind all of this, let's move on to the current story. On January 6th, All That Remains filed a lawsuit against Elizabeth Herbert, claiming that she has, quote, "made various claims against Phil Labonte, Michael Martin, and Jason Costa, including alleging that they were stealing from her and using her late husband's recordings without permission, disparaged them on social media, threatened to report the band to various federal, state, and local authorities, claimed the band had committed crimes, threatened to sue the band in multiple jurisdictions, and falsely claimed that she had sued the band." In the lawsuit, which Blabbermouth was able to obtain, the band claims that Beth posted publicly about wanting to assert claims against the band's label, Concord Music, who, by the way, is named as a nominal defendant in the lawsuit. She also asked for, quote, "crowdsourced suggestions for what state agency to complain about this to." Since there has already been disputes over royalties between the band and Ollie's estate, Concord originally was going to withhold all payments until the situation gets resolved, but according to this new lawsuit, there was a discrepancy with the band obtaining their royalties for the first half of 2022. Eventually, Concord did agree to settle up, but on the condition that Ollie's percentage interest gets held in escrow. Now, though, they have advised the band that they will not be releasing any royalty shares to anyone in the band until, quote, "such time as Concord Music receives a letter of direction signed by the estate and the band with respect to payment instructions for Ollie's share of the recordings and compositions." The band members also note that they are indeed actively holding Ollie's share of royalties for the first half of 2022 and are demanding that Beth signs a letter of direction saying that she is now the payee of Ollie's share of royalties. Allegedly, in May of 2022, they asked her to execute the letter of direction, but she refused. The lawsuit also claims, quote, "Ms. Herbert also published a post on Facebook on October 14th confirming that she had sent an email to the band's attorney telling him never to contact me again or ask for my signature on a document and indicating that she will never sign anything." I'm honestly a bit confused as to why she would even hold this up. She's got to be running out of money because she took what she got from Ollie's life insurance policy to fix up their house and buy herself a Jaguar XE, and no joke was considering a move, if she hasn't already, to where? You guessed it, Salem, Massachusetts, home of the legendary witch trials. Nonetheless, though, wishing all the best to Ollie's real family and friends, and let's hope that this can get squared away quickly so that the band can get paid what is rightfully theirs. All right, though, that's going to do it for me. You probably don't know this if you're new to the channel, even if you've been watching for a while, but I'm actually a wizard, and I have to go give my fiance a dose of my homemade potion. So I got to go. But thanks so much for watching. Feel free to subscribe if you want to see more, and I will see you next time.